Hey, what's up, online community? And thanks for stopping by and checking out another segment of Straight No Chaser, where I talk sports and culture for fans, oftentimes with the fans. Now, with the start of college football beginning across the country, I know we want to have a little conversation about college football, but this is bigger than me. So I had to get on the phone and call in one of the heavy hitters. So I want to welcome to the show my man. He's a NCAA national title winner, Johnny Unitas Award winner, Heisman Trophy finalist, and all-around good guy, my man Tony Rice from the University of Notre Dame. So Tony, thanks for stopping by and checking out another episode of Straight No Chaser. Thanks for joining me, man.
Well, Stan, thanks for inviting me. Anything to help you out with your podcast and what you got going on in life, I'll be happy to help out.
Man, so before we get into it, let's raise our glasses up. You know how we do it at home. If you got it, grab your favorite libation. We're about to get into a Straight No Chaser. Cheers. So Tony, and for those at home that don't know, Tony's my guy. Tony's my boy. So we hang out, we kick it. You know, I know a lot of the information, but for our viewers at home, Tony, how did a guy like you, who's a country boy, end up at the University of Notre Dame?
Well, I'm still a country boy in heart. It's one of those things that it was not my decision. It was my grandmother's decision what school I was going to attend, and Coach Holtz came down from Notre Dame and did a very good job at impressing her. And she told me I was going to follow that little man. And again, I wanted to visit 3 schools, 3 universities. But at the end of the day, you always do what your elders tell you to do. So
that's the thing.
I thought I did something bad because you sent me to a very, very cold place.
So what other schools were you looking at?
You had Clemson, which is my backyard, South Carolina Gamecocks, North Carolina, where I was going to play basketball and football. Also, some of the other schools like, Oklahoma and, Nebraska, Minnesota. From me being from a small hometown place of 5,000 people and have an opportunity to play, most people didn't hear about me until they heard from other people like Ricky Foggy, who was a quarterback in Minnesota at the time. So I was so happy that, Ricky giving me opportunity by saying my name and having those guys take a look at me.
So you went from you're from South Carolina. You had this opportunity to play football on a higher level. Let's take a step back. When did you develop your passion for playing football? Because you mentioned that you played football, you also played basketball. When did you develop your passion for playing football?
Also passion for everything I did. I didn't take any sport lightly. I very happy to approach it like trying to be the best person out there. But when you're limited in college to play one sport and excel in that, I was very passionate about it, and I wanted to be the best quarterback out there. I wanted to be the best player on the team. And the next player that gets the ball more than the quarterback is the center. I'm not big enough to be a center, so right. I'd rather be a quarterback and call in the plays.
Well, that's a glamorous position in and of itself. You're able to maintain and control a little bit of your own destiny. So I hear you on that. You started out playing football. When did you realize that you were actually good and you could play on the next level? Because you may have a passion for a sport, but when did you realize that, man, I could do this and I could do it and play it at a high level and play it well?
Well, I was so humble about it, but when you start winning awards and you win MVP of the game, you don't realize how good you are. And again, I'm trying to compete out there like everyone else. So obviously you were doing something right if your team members voted you the MVP. So well, maybe these guys see something I don't see because, they're taking a liking to me. But me, I just didn't want to let anyone down. And if I go out there, I don't worry about anyone else's positions. I worry about my position, what plays to put the team in the right situation. And that's basically it. For me to know something, I don't know. And I didn't know. I just wanted to be the best at that time when I was on the field.
Well, obviously you put the work in because, you won a national title. You won the Johnny Unitas Award. You were a Heisman Trophy finalist. You're playing at an elite program. What is that experience like? First of all, you're playing college football, probably the biggest sport in college, and you're playing at an elite program, Notre Dame. What is that college experience like? That's out of my wheelhouse. Talk to me. What is that like?
Well, being a Southern Baptist, going to a Catholic institution, that was a change right there for me.
Ah,
So,
definitely.
stricter ways, and and both faiths. But looking at, man, I have an opportunity to do something in my high school that no other person had done, and that was to attend the University of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And again, once I got there, only thing I had to do is do the right thing and make sure I don't let my family down. Because you have so many people depending on you. And there's so many people out there that hate you as well because
Yes.
they see you didn't attend the school that they wanted you to attend, but they couldn't be happy for you. But you start picking up once you start winning, and once you graduated from whatever school, and in my case Notre Dame, you start seeing those people that jump on the bandwagon. And
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that you still kill them with kindness, but where were they when you really needed them? And my grandmother always told me, never forget the people who help you across the bridge. And that's very true. In my sense, in fact, of what I went through during my time at Notre Dame.
It's interesting because you've always been one of the nicest, coolest guys and accommodating guys as far as athletes and just genuine people that I've been around. We've been out. I've seen people come up and they've asked for autographs. And no matter how many people come up and ask for autographs or want to share a story or how you've impacted their life, you've always accommodated them. You've taken a moment to listen to them. And I think that says something about the character that you have and just your upbringing and how you perceive people and relationships. I think that's one of the true benefits of you. And I could see why, you would have teammates that would vote you the MVP, because it's not just your hard skills as an athlete, but then also the soft skills that you have as an individual. So I could definitely see that.
Oh, thank you. They're very nice. How much I owe you for saying that? I think I owe you somebody for saying that, my brother.
Here at Straight No Chaser, we accept cash, check, and charge.
You know what? And you've always been the funniest guy, and I love hanging around with you. But it's so funny how you take things away from other people as far as pick up some of their attributes and how they conduct and treat people. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you look at it, your last name is the name you represent.
Yes.
So I try to be the best person I can each and every day. I wake up with a smile on my face, happy to see another day.
Yeah.
Some people are not able to do that. And some people wake up with frowns on their face and that negative energy. And I always try to have that positive energy so I can pass it on to someone else. Because again, you don't know how they're feeling that day, and you want to give them something to shoot for and to make them feel good by just saying hello to them. That's basically it.
So let me ask you, let me roll back a little bit. You mentioned that, of course you have your supporters, but you also have your detractors. And you were playing during a time when there weren't a lot of black quarterbacks, especially rising to prominence. Did you feel any added pressure, being a quarterback of color and playing at a high profile school? Was there any additional pressure that you felt or any additional expectation?
Well, it was going to be a long road for that person, or for me in this case. A long road, and I just had to stick by the game plan. The game plan is do the right thing, and make sure that you pick up some of the things each and every day of what you need to do in order to be the best person. But also, you're competing on the football field, and a lot of people wasn't used to seeing a black quarterback at Notre Dame. Again, I mentioned earlier, I'm a Southern Baptist. Notre Dame gave me the tools and opportunity to go there and excel and be more than that, and be the first one, but not be the last one.
Yes.
And I'm glad I can go ahead and say that me being one of the pioneers that, I said, paved the way from other, black quarterbacks that had played at Notre Dame that done really well. And in my eyes, doesn't matter what color you are, just get the job done.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, just go out there and win. Have a good time doing it, but win.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about scoring touchdowns, scoring more points than your opponent, than playing well. So, and you were a pioneer, like I said, as far as African American quarterbacks, you were a pioneer, so to speak, because you were one of the few that paved the way. And although it was a challenging road, here we are. It's a little bit more mainstream, but it wasn't as simple and cut and dry as it was back then.
It wasn't. It's off the field, on the field. Going to sleep at night sometimes. He's like, man, what am I going to dream about? Here I am thinking about, I'm so jolly and everything. I'm just like, hey, I just live to see another day. Let's wake up. Let's go at it again, but be the best person you can that day.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you've got the college experience. You guys are you guys are ranked nationally, each year. What is that college experience like for a star athlete? Let's call it what it is. Star athlete, as far as being recognizable, access to, people and things. Here at Straight No Chaser, we get into it. So what was that? What was that experience like? On campus, being a big BMOC, the big man on campus.
Well, you can't do what you want to do sometimes.
Okay.
And some days you got to. And to this day, right now, I still represent the University of Notre Dame.
Yes.
My heart is there, and I won't do anything to damage the reputation that Notre Dame has. You look at more of they're giving me opportunity, like I said before. But if you look at it in a sense, once you graduate, they still have your rights.
Okay.
The letter of intent still has your rights, and then for me, everything's based upon networking.
Yes.
Because if they hear you went to Notre Dame, some people open up the door because you went to the university that they went to, and they went through the same gauntlet that we did as snot-nosed freshmen. And some of these guys I've known for over 30 years, I'm still friends with them.
Yeah.
And that's how you get business. So again, you're going to conduct yourself the Notre Dame way. And we got something to be proud of.
That's a great point that you said that, because if anything were to happen, not anything negative, but if anything were to happen, it wouldn't be Tony Rice. It would be Tony Rice, former Notre Dame quarterback. There's always that legacy and association. And the fact you're able to recognize that, says a lot about your character, because these are things that, even though you're no longer there, there's always that association. You always want to be able to go back. You're able to utilize it as a network tool. So all those things definitely come into play. So that's a great point. And I don't think a lot of people realize that it's more than just, what you do on the field. There's this lifelong legacy based off of your affiliation and association with that particular school and sport.
Yeah. Like some people look up the word Tony Rice. Yeah. It's a bluegrass singer out there named Tony Rice. But if you look up University of Notre Dame, Tony Rice, here's my picture that shows up. So,
pages and pages.
Yeah. But, again, I'm looking at everyone who have gone through the gauntlet, who have gone through representing the university that they went to. And they should feel the same way, that they should go back anytime they need help for anything. Go back to where it all started. Yeah, I'll have to start from somewhere. And in my case, it started at Notre Dame.
So
them giving me opportunity and just going out there competing, but then also take away some things too. Take away how you conduct business, because you don't know everything out there. I know about my position on the football field. I know some of the things in the classroom, but I was never afraid to ask for help.
Yeah. And
that's sometimes people are really afraid to ask for help because they feel like they're not smart enough. I don't know everything.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I can find out who knows what. And that's one of the things that we have to take into account, and everyone has to take account of what university you went to.
I think you hit on something. I think one of the things that is a strength, some people may view it as a sign of weakness, but I think it's a strength, and that is realizing you don't know what you don't know. That's something key. Instead of trying to explain it, being able to admit and say, hey, you know what? I don't have the answer, but I will get it, or I will find out, as opposed to just trying to fake it till you make it. That's a very humbling thing to do. And not everybody has that ability.
I was never afraid to ask for help. I was a go-getter. Yeah. And, some of my friends to this day, I ride motorcycles. And I just learned that one of my buddies passed away. He wasn't on the football team at Notre Dame, but again, he's a friend of mine. So I'm looking at it, he had a whole life ahead of him, and you never know when your day is going to come. And when I say that, it's like, shoot, come as winning a contract for a business opportunity, come as being the last day on this earth. So I take everything with pride, and I take everything to the heart that I am trying to be the best person I can each and every day, even though some days I'm feeling so down and out, but I won't let anyone else see it. Yeah. That's something that I'm not going to bring the negative energy that I have to someone that's positive.
Amen, brother. Hey, we have a question from one of the people watching live. Shout out to Dennis Sibit, who's one of our regulars who watches the show. Can you elaborate when you say that they still own your rights? That was one of his questions. Kind of what does that mean when you say they own your rights?
Once you sign that letter of intent, at one point, they still own the copyrights of Notre Dame sports as far as the pictures and stuff like that. You don't get royalties from that picture. They own those pictures.
Okay.
So
that's they use that for marketing purposes and just anything, Wall of Fame, anything that they choose.
Anything they choose, they can do. And
okay.
You have no say so.
Okay.
So that's what I meant by that.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you this, kind of segue into another part of the conversation. Many people don't understand, and I'm glad you explained that because I didn't really understand that as well. Many people don't understand, kind of what that letter of intent, what that connection is to the university. And I know there's been conversation about should athletes be paid? Should they have access to their licensing, things like that? Do you have thoughts on that? Because I know it's a hot button topic right now, and there's some schools of thought on both sides of the ledger. As a former athlete, as someone who was high profile, do you have thoughts on if athletes should be paid or if they should be able to use their or capitalize on their likenesses?
In some sense of fashion, I think we spoke about this earlier in one of the questions. You tend to do things, and you tend to want to be paid for your actions and stuff. Will that take you to the next level as far as, hey, you may have made a lot of money in college football just by your likeness. But then will it make you work hard enough to get to that next level as far as going to the NFL or the Canadian Football League or whatever league that pays you, because you're not a collegiate athlete right there when they start paying you. Now, they're taking a step back. I'm glad of the situation that I was in. I don't think it would have made me a better person because, I love to compete. But I wasn't looking at the money part of it. I was looking at a game that I was very, very passionate about, the game that I love to play. Met many great people along the way. And what's other sport than football that has 11 people on the field at the same time?
Yeah.
We all work together at doing our thing, knowing your position. So, the kids these days are getting paid, more props, more kudos to them. But in my, I don't take things for granted. It is what it is. It happened for me that I didn't get paid. And I was very happy with the situation. Even though I didn't make it to the NFL, I'm still happy with the situation because it wouldn't make me any worse than the person I am right now, because I think I lived a great life so far, and I'm still living it.
For the record, here, Str8 No Chaser, we have seen how Tony's life, how he's living. We've experienced some of that. I'm here to vouch for it. Look, come on now. I've been to your crib when you were here in Chicago. We done hung out. When all this is over, I'm coming down to visit you. I'm getting on the plane to come down there and visit you. So I know you keep it simple and humble for the people at home, but it's me.
Hey, yeah, okay. I live in Miami.
Yeah.
I told myself, I'm not getting any younger.
Yeah.
So let me move somewhere warm. So here I am. Not now. I'm in Miami, but now I'm visiting friends in LA. So I'm having a good time. So. Man,
that sounds like a lot of first world problems.
It's a tough world out there. It's a tough world.
I know, man. Struggle. It's so tough. So tough, brother. Oh, man. So let's talk a little bit about, let's talk about the college games. People speculate, you have fans here in the Midwest. I'm here in the Midwest. I'm in the Chicago area. We have fans in the Midwest, but also Notre Dame, I've come to realize, has a national fan base. They're centrally located in the Midwest, but you can go anywhere in the country and either run into a Notre Dame alum or a Notre Dame fan. But there's always been speculation about who Notre Dame's biggest rival on the football field has been, in particular because Notre Dame has been an independent. But you as a player in that locker room, who was the biggest rival that you guys look forward to competing against year in and year out?
Okay, you got two places. I said earlier, Miami. The Hurricanes, when I first arrived in Miami, I went right to the university.
Oh, really?
Right to the university and start pointing up like we're number one instead of them. The second one, here I am in LA right now, and I'm at a restaurant, and this person had a USC hat on.
USC, okay.
I was like, oh, USC, that's a good school. But I never lost to them. And they said,
Is that
what's your
right?
name? They said, what's your name? I said, yeah.
Okay.
I said, hey, my name is Tony. And the guy said, you don't know who this is? That's Tony Rice. I never liked saying my last name. Just, my name is Tony. I once played football at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That's how I present. And then I let them ask questions.
Yeah. And that's
so,
a smooth way to present it. I hear
yeah,
you.
those two schools are the teams that you want to play against the best. And those guys, year after year, was one of the best teams ever.
Yeah.
And, you know, playing against Navy was great. And Navy fought through the wire. But those Miami teams and those USC games or teams were great to play against because it attracted a lot of people. And I, right now, can walk out in LA and I saw 2 flags yesterday of Notre Dame. So when you said earlier, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. They creep out of the rock, underneath the rocks and everything. They're there.
My man, that's cool. That's cool. So during that rivalry, was there ever a game where you just like, fudge, how, man, like just one of those grind out games that seemed like it was never going to end? I mean, just brutally physical, just like you just felt beat up or just felt like it was never going to end. But I mean, it was just a grind.
I was totally different. I never wanted the game to end.
Okay.
Because, you know, because this is how it worked out, Stan. When the game ends, that means you have to prepare next week for a team. So you got to go back to practice. Because I love playing the games. Practice was hard. And but Coach Holtz made it hard for us so the game would be easy. Mm-hmm. So that's what you prepare for. You practice. And, you know, I was very sad when the game ended because I want to score some more points. And I want to say, hey, listen, you're the first team we're going to fold, not us. We got all day. We can be here all night. We can be all day taking care of business.
Nice. So what was it like playing for Coach Holtz? You know, I mean, first of all, he's a legendary coach. And, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, it's the expectation is high, the demand is high. You know, what was it like playing for Coach Holtz?
Well, when I first arrived there, even though he came to my house to visit, he knew my name then. He called me Ricky for like a full year. Ricky.
Oh, wow.
I say, this the same guy that came to my house and told my grandmother he was going to take care of her baby, but he doesn't know my name, so I just let it be. But when he put me in there, and I owe Coach this right here, he worked me very hard to make me think like he thinks on the football field. You're the coach out there being a quarterback, so he's going to put you through pressure. That's when it goes back to what I said earlier about practice was hard, game was easy, because he tried to prepare you each and every game for a different scheme of what the defense is doing, and how you react is how he's going to react. So you better act like I'm the coach out there, Tony. You're acting on my behalf, even though I can't run the plays you run. I'm calling the plays, and you better make sure that you put your team in the right situation. Know your audibles, know everything. But yeah, he was hard. Yeah. But you learn to appreciate him when you get out, because one coach told me, never listen to the tone of his voice, but the words that are coming out.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Some kids can't take criticism, and they don't want to hear it because they think he's yelling. No, he's just trying to. If someone's trying to help you out, they wouldn't talk to you at all if they didn't want to help you out. So he's trying to help you out. So he's telling you, and he's trying to teach you something that is going to be very helpful.
It's a great point. That's a great point. You know, he could have easily just been like, kind of push you aside and work with someone else and lifted them up. But the fact that he took the time, the opportunity, and the energy, he saw something in you, and he wanted to build on that instead of working to tear it down or even just ignoring it. So absolutely. I mean, that's a sign of a great coach too, because he wants to put you in the best position to win. And a good coach will make the practices more difficult. So the games are just muscle memory, mental memory, and you're just kind of going through and you're prepared. Absolutely.
And I still know the plays to this day. This is over 30 some years. And I tell you what, and to this day, I still fear that little man. When I see him, I still fear him, because I tell you what, he was a big impact on my life.
Yes.
And he was the person that pointed me in the right direction as going to a university, doing the things he tells us to do. And, you know, once you do those things, other things will come easy.
Yeah.
How do you handle objections? You know, people here know all the time. So how do you handle that? by playing sports. You can't win all the games all the time. You got to handle defeat too.
Yeah, that's true. Now you don't look like the good loser type to me, and you didn't lose a lot of games, you know. So it does, yeah. let's just make sure we're clear on that, you know. But also, I think that's the competitive nature in you as well. It's a healthy competitiveness that you have. So.
Oh, thanks. You know, I tried to do the best I could at the time that was given to me. So, you know, it was fun.
So with that, you know, we have another question. One of the viewers chimed in. We talked a little bit about the student athlete experience, but being a football player, was it easier for you on campus in terms of, you know, having that star status with teachers or things like that? Or
it made it rough for you because, again, you couldn't do what you want to do, and you know you're a big fish in a small pond.
Okay.
Notre Dame is not that big.
Yes.
And being named a quarterback from a big, high-profile university, Big Brother's always watching you.
Okay.
So you got to make sure that, you know, you got all the I's dotted and the T's are crossed and doing the right thing. Because at the end of the day, again, it reflects back on you and the university and your team.
Absolutely.
You know, it wasn't like I'm out partying, having a good time. I try to act like a regular student, but you can't be.
And I think that's one of the misconceptions. I'm glad that you were able to share that because I've had other athletes on here. They're basketball players, but they shared a similar experience in terms of, you know, you're not only representing yourself, your family, you're representing the university. You can't move the way everyone does. Yes, you can go to parties and things like that, or you have student access, but it's limited. And you still have to be mindful of your interactions and your engagements and how you carry yourself in those environments, because it takes nothing to end up, you know, in the newspaper or in the rumor mill or bad experience or bad press, things like that.
Just to have this right here. Lucky we didn't have cell phones at the time I played.
a lot of there's quite a few athletes have said that. You know, it's interesting because when I was playing ball in junior college, one of the things that, you know, we went through like just kind of like a brief orientation. And one of the things that they told us was, you don't take pictures with a cup or glass in your hand. And something so trivial as that, they said, why? They said, because if someone takes a picture of you, you know, it could be water, but in the caption, they can say, oh, it was vodka. Or if you have a red Solo cup or something like that, they can say, oh, you know, I was out getting drunk with XYZ, and it just may be Gatorade in that cup, so to speak, things like that. You know, but those are the things that as an athlete and as someone who's representing something bigger than themselves, that you have to be mindful of, you know, that the average person doesn't take into consideration.
You're right about that. Like right now, we can do this right now because we're of age.
Yeah.
We're grown-ups. I have kids. You know,
Yes.
I have kids. So we can do that. At that time, you can't. Like I said, with those cell phones being out there, they can portray you as, you know, you're drinking water, you're drinking alcohol, and then it's on a school night, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the social media part of it.
Yes.
That blows it out. But again, you can't control what everything goes on around you.
Yeah.
The best way to control that is stay in, but you don't want to be a hermit with that situation. So I did a lot of interaction with non-athletes, just students, because at one point I was a student.
Yeah.
And most of my friends are non-athletes. And here we are, we still communicate to this day on how we are. They look at Tony Rice as a student, not an athlete.
Yeah. And again, that just speaks to your character. Let me ask you, now Notre Dame has the football legacy of Notre Dame, you know, you could put it up against any other school. It's not comparable. Is there, I know that there's a brotherhood amongst the former athletes, but is there a little bit of competition amongst the classes or the teams? Like, hey, you know what, we won a national title, or we put this number of guys in the pros, or, you know, is there that kind of banter back and forth, or is it just kind of, we're just all Notre Dame football brothers?
Oh, football brothers, because I tell you one thing, I can easily shut everyone up, and some of my teammates can too, by saying the last time they won was 1988. That's so. But, that's it. Have you guys done anything yet? But when they say that, everybody say, "Hey, yeah, the last time we won it was 1988," even though they were way, way before them. But those guys who won it in 77, they paved the way for us to win it in 88. And now we wait for someone to take over the reign of being the last one. But we don't know. We don't know about this year. We don't know about each other years too, but we look at it more of this. If they lose one game, we're still number one because we went undefeated the whole entire time.
I remember. I remember. So let me ask you. You moved beyond the college experience. What were your thoughts and what were your options in terms of professionally, or did you think about going into coaching? Kind of what did you think of? Did you think about staying connected to football beyond playing in Notre Dame?
I went to Canada for a year. I played in the CFL, for Saskatchewan Roughriders. It wasn't a great fit for me as far as the style of play. We play with 11, they play with 12. They have so many people going in motion. I'm used to one person going in motion. So that transition was very difficult. And then from there, I went to the World League, played in Barcelona for the Dragons for 2 football seasons, which were great, right down my alley. And it almost reminded me of how I got my start at Notre Dame compared to, I got my start in Barcelona because both guys broke their collarbone and all the other quarterbacks did the same thing that he did. And I was the only unique person that did something totally different. So it gave me another opportunity to prove myself, which we did pretty good. We went all the way to the Cup, the World Cup and everything. And we lost that game, but still given an opportunity. And I had a chance to play against guys I played against in college.
Okay.
And that really, but the story goes on.
Yeah.
Because what you do in the NFL is great, the CFL, but what you did in college is always the best. What school you play for now? Didn't we play you? Didn't we beat you? Stuff like that. You got bragging rights. That's what the bragging rights comes in.
And when I talk to athletes, and I have viewers that watch, I tell anyone, there's a limited number of slots in any professional league, whether it's the NBA, NFL, NHL, but there are other means of playing a sport professionally. I say if you're earning a check to do something, you're a professional. So whether you're playing in the NFL, the CFL, in the World League, you're still a professional. Now there's different levels, but absolutely. So you have an opportunity to pursue your dream of playing a sport and getting paid for it professionally. Hats off to you, because even that's a unique brotherhood, and everybody can't do that. So, I'm glad that you touched on that. That you didn't have the NFL, you had the high level of success in college, you didn't make it to the NFL, but you still were able to play a number of years beyond that and still earn a check and doing it, playing a sport that you love, that you grew up playing. So, I'm glad you were able to touch on that, man.
Yeah, thank you. And to add a couple more things too about that, it's like I said, before you walk, you got to crawl.
Yeah.
So, you got to go through that gauntlet. You got to pay your dues. And you know what? But again, be happy where you at. And NFL didn't turn out for me. But you know what? I'm not sad about it. The timing was not right.
Yeah.
So the timing is right now for me just to go back and where I was starting. I mentioned Notre Dame and, take advantage of what Notre Dame gave me. It was good education, but then also that networking aspect of life.
Well, I'm glad that you touched on that, because that's a great segue. At the time, the NFL wasn't for you, but now you're starting to see, the influx of African-American quarterbacks. You're starting to see styles where coaches are moving away from, this is my system and I need to find someone to fit it, to, hey, I've got this player and I'm going to adjust my system to fit that player. Let's say if you had come along during this era, would you think, do you see yourself, or do you feel like you would have been able to play on a professional level in the NFL?
I think so. I think so too, because I'm looking at one guy that I think he has my kind of mindset and my kind of attitude on the football field, how he's playing with Jackson for Baltimore.
Well, Lamar,
yeah, he's done a great job, and I wish him the best. Keep doing it, because, again, even though I didn't have an opportunity to do that, but I see we had same kind of style. But you know what? He has it going on. He's a good quarterback. And I tell you what, he proved it to be MVP one year.
Yeah.
So, obviously he's doing something right, or he wouldn't be put in the situation of being a starting quarterback in an NFL team.
Well, it's funny that you said Lamar Jackson, because that was the first person that came to mind for me. When I look at him, almost similar size, style, and he's competitive. He wants to win every down. He wants to win every yard. And I see a lot of those same similarities. Having seen you play back when you were in Notre Dame. So yeah, that was one of the first guys that I thought of too. Is there, if you would have played professionally, was there a coach that you would have said, "Wow, I would have loved to play for this particular coach in the NFL at that time"?
No, not really. I was so spoiled in a way.
Okay.
Spoiled in a way that I had one of the best coaches around, NFL or not, Coach Holtz. So, he's one of the, and some of the guys have said this before, he was my top coach as far as I would have played for any day. Okay. The day I graduated, it's like, wow, those 4 years went by pretty fast too. Yeah. And I wish I had a couple more years with him. So no NFL. He just one that didn't sugarcoat anything. He made sure that you did what he tell you to do, and just, at the end of the day, be happy.
Great point. So talking about college football, talking about Coach Holtz in college football. Right now, we're starting to move into, for lack of a better term, regional college football, because we have COVID-19 going on, and we have parts of the country and conferences that are starting to play football, some that are delaying football, things like that. But thinking about Coach Holtz and just college football overall, do you still watch college football? Are you still engaged in the game beyond just Notre Dame?
Okay, let's go back now. Number one is Notre Dame. I watch it every Saturday. Other schools just, it was a conversational piece, just to get together and have a good time. But my heart bleeds blue and gold, and I try to watch Notre Dame every Saturday. Even when I'm on the road, I try to make sure that I get back in time to find a television to watch my team. Yeah. And Notre Dame will always be my team, and also watch other great games. Some of the kids that or some of the people that I played against, or people I played with at Notre Dame, their kids are playing ball now at college. Okay. Yeah, so I tend to watch those guys, kids play, and root for them because of their mom or dad.
So true story, real quick, true story. And we were talking about Notre Dame fans being nationwide. Last fall, September, I was at Penny Hardaway's house. Penny Hardaway, the basketball player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm at Penny's house down in Memphis. I was down there for an event. There's people all over the place. So we're outside in the patio. It was, as a matter of fact, it was the Notre Dame Georgia game. I can tell you what it was. It was that Saturday night game, Notre Dame Georgia game. We're at Penny Hardaway's house. We got all these celebrities walking around. You have all these athletes, just regular people. Zach Randolph comes in. Big Zach Randolph played for the Portland Trail Blazers. First thing he says is, man, he said something to the effect of, man, where's the TV at? Or you got a TV because the Notre Dame game is about to come on. So again, this is Notre Dame in Georgia. So we go through the kitchen, we go into Penny's family room, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, life is good because once, I'm down there for an event, and you have some guys like me who are part of this event. But then I'm looking, and around the television, and this just speaks to the lure and magnitude of Notre Dame football, I've got Mike Miller, former NBA player. I've got Amari Stoudemire, Zach Randolph, Penny Hardaway is in and out. They've got these beautiful hostesses that are coming around. They move some of the hostesses and snacks and hors d'oeuvres from the outside to the inside because now people are sitting in the family room, watching the Notre Dame Georgia game. And I'm like, damn, first of all, I'm like, damn, life is good. Second of all, I'm like, Notre Dame just has that draw. So when you say that Notre Dame is nationwide and such, it made me think about that experience because, there are people that didn't go to Notre Dame that aren't even from the Midwest, but still have that passion and support Notre Dame football. So yeah, there's something about that blue and gold.
Yeah, I think they said the gold helmets just get you real fast, right?
Yes.
But
my man, champion.
You're right, every day.
Yeah, that's right. So let me ask you: do you think that college football, because Coach Holtz was a very tough coach. There were a number of tough coaches throughout history, and there are still some. But do you think the coaching is the level of toughness is still the same amongst coaches and how they engage their players and things like that? We often hear, oh, the game has gotten soft. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the game has gotten soft a little bit. I look at some of the way, because again, I mentioned earlier, you know, when the coaches are tough on you, and you tend to play harder. When these people see a player getting grabbed by a face mask by a coach, oh, that poor kid is getting embarrassed on national television. Hey, he's just trying to prove a point that, yeah, I will embarrass you if you don't follow what I tell you to do.
Yeah.
So let him go embarrass. That's the toughness of it.
Yes.
How you can handle what the coaches say to you. You know, the coach is not going to hit you in the belly or nothing like that, but he's going to grab your face mask and tell you things that is very important, because it's not about you anymore. It's the damn team.
Yes.
And some people just take that as being that poor kid. He's a grown man now. He's over 18. Go out there and play ball. Mommy and daddy is not there to wake up in the morning and everything. So,
spoken like a true grinded out competitive quarterback from the 80s.
You're right, from the 80s. Oh my God.
No,
I'm telling my age now.
Yeah, my man. So let me ask you, you know, speaking of college football, I mentioned that, you know, regionally, you know, some of the conferences are starting to come back and getting ready to play with COVID-19 going on. As an athlete, if you were in this situation, would you want to play, or would you err on the side of caution in terms of what's going on with COVID-19?
Remember growing up, and yeah, right, I want to play. This is just me. Remember growing up, we used to go out there, eat dirt and do everything else, don't have to care. You know, we didn't worry about nothing. Now things have changed. And even though it's not under our control, but that's why I feel I'm old school. Yeah. I said before, you know, 80s. I do a lot of things that I shouldn't do, as far as, you know, go and pick worms and don't wash your hands and still put your finger up to your face. And now they got this disease. And, you know, we think we're invisible. We're not, but we have to go by what the government tells us to do right now, because we're not thinking about ourselves anymore. We're thinking about others. And that is a big factor, because, again, we didn't think about it, but now everything based upon our lives in the United States and elsewhere around the world.
Yeah. So first off, let me just say this: the picking worms and dirt touch your face. You're not from the 80s. You're just country. that's what I came from. You're just country. You know
I am.
I know.
We got clay dirt down in South Carolina.
This is true. Red soles and red sole shoes.
You're right.
So let's take Notre Dame out of the mix, because I know where your heart is. Is there a are there college programs that you say, wow, those teams, well, that program is pretty tough, you know, and that's a very competitive school or competitive program?
Not really.
Yeah.
Even though at one stint it was Alabama. Mm-hmm. Then the next stint probably came Clemson.
Yeah. Okay,
you can't leave out Ohio State too. Ohio State has a very good football program, and what the university is doing right now is, you know what, they have bigger, stronger, faster athletes now. But we took it as a machine, which everyone knows their part. These guys are at that level now. Some of these guys should be NFL by their sophomore year, and they're proving themselves. So, you know, with those universities that I just mentioned to you, are some of the top schools that have done a great job with their university. But again, Notre Dame graduates everyone. You must attend class, and we have one of the highest ratios as graduation rates out there.
And I think that I'm glad that you were able to present that, because, you know, there's a fallacy out there that, you know, if you play, and I can't speak for all schools, but, you know, the fallacy that you don't go to class, that you're an athlete, and, you know, everything is taken care of for you and everything's handed to you. You just go and you practice and things like that. Real quick, talk about the structure that was in place for you as an athlete, because I don't think everyone understands kind of the commitment and the structure that goes into being a student athlete, especially on that level.
Yeah, it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job, which you have to equip yourself is doing two things at once: being a student and being an athlete. And then it's not over when the season is over as well, because you got the hard training of spring ball, winter workouts, summer. So you're not able to do the things you want to do in order to make money. You didn't have time to work at a job during the summertime because you're in summer school in order to try to take some of the classes so that the workload is not as tough as when football season starts. So you want to get that out of the way first during the summer. So you're not able to do those things. And being a student is really going to tell it all too, because you do have to show up. And Notre Dame classes were not that big. So the teachers they know your name.
Yes.
You can't miss a day. And we had some of the coaching staff make sure that you bet they're going to check you in. Either they check you in for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but then they check to see if you're going to classes. And that's when it goes back when I say Big Brother. Big Brother's always watching you. Yes. There's no shortcuts in these games at Notre Dame.
Well, and I'm glad that you touched on that, because again, every athlete that I've had on the show has said the same thing, that you are expected to go to class. It is a full-time, the commitment is like a full-time job, because, there's the class aspect, there's the training aspect, there's the study table aspect, there's the practice aspect, the game, the travel. So, there's a lot of time. It's not you just roll the balls out, you practice for a couple hours, and you play the game. There's a lot more to it. So I'm glad you're able to share that. And you reinforce and reinforce, what's been shared. And I think because I also have a lot of younger athletes that watch the show, being able for them to understand that, especially if they want to play at a high level, it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of commitment to be able to play at that level beyond just putting the ball in the hoop or throwing the ball down the field or getting to the quarterback.
Oh, yeah. And it goes back to, if you really want it bad enough, you'll do it. Yeah. And some of the things you are going to have to do it, maybe you don't want to do it, but you have to do it. And, don't get me wrong. You wish you can be at the other universities, and, some of the guys go to class a lot and some people don't go a lot. But again, Notre Dame takes it very seriously that you're going to do this.
Yes.
We're not going to waste no scholarship on you not going to class and just participating on the football field.
Absolutely.
We have an investment. The investment is make sure you do the right thing.
And that's the other thing too. It's a financial investment, because that, there's scholarship, there's, training, there's uniform, all of that comes at a price, so you want to make sure that there's an ROI, a return on investment, and also that the level of trust is there because they trusted in you to bring you to that university, to represent the university, to be a part of that program. So absolutely, I can see how that comes into play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So one of our viewers, Kim Brown, shout out to Kim Brown. I've had him on the show before. Coach Holtz, Coach Holtz has a reputation as a little bit of a spitter. When he's fired up. So Kim Brown wanted to know, was there a situation that could have been with you or anyone else where, somebody may have accidentally got a little bit, or, it's like, oh man, Coach got a little close?
I'm one of those people. Coach Holtz has a lisp. And I think there was one time that his spit was not able to get to me because we played against Penn State. It was 25 below with the wind chill factor. So there was no spitting happening. When it got close, it went right down because it was so cold. But yes, I've been spitted on many other times. That COVID would have been all over me right now.
Oh, my man. Oh, Tony. It's been great having you on. I just want to ask you, I appreciate your time and coming on the show. I've been trying to get to some of these comments, some of these thoughts, questions. Let me ask you, looking at where you're at in life now, the choice that you made, the school that you went to, not there are there any regrets? Is there anything that you would have changed, your experience, anything that you would have changed or done differently?
I think we should have won the second national championship my senior year. I wish I could have changed that. Okay. But no. The cards I was dealt with has been very, very good to me and everything. And I look at it more like this, being able to walk, being able to breathe, and being able to communicate with people that have made a big impact in my life, or been a big impact in my life. They're able to do that. Would I change a darn thing? No. I wouldn't. Things happen, and I can't regret it. The path, I'm still on that path of trying to do the right thing, because every day is a new day, and every day is my birthday. So,
amen to that. And for those at home, again, I've been out with this brother. We've hung out. I've seen what that energy is like. This is not fake. This is genuine. He's always upbeat and engaging, and And you know, you won't meet a nicer person. You know, I appreciate him picking up the phone when I said, hey, you know what? I'd love to sit here and talk your experience in college football with you. You know, but this is just a testament to who you are. So thank you for popping on the show tonight, Tony.
Brother, thank you for having me. If there's anything I can do for you, just let me know, okay?
You know what? On that note, what better way to end our live streaming segment? Salute to our people watching at home. And Tony Rice just gave it to you straight, no chaser.